When starting out, Ember Dailies or EXP Dailies are a great way to increase both your servant's levels as well as your master level pretty quickly. By increasing your master level, you increase your maximum AP so that silver and gold apples give you more AP when used, and your deck cost also increases so that you can fit more or higher rarity servants and craft essences. And while quickly leveling up your servants may make the main story less challenging, and so for some people less fun, I still recommend to do this. In event story quests, they sometimes don't allow you to use your friend's supports, forcing you to use the NPC servants instead. So you really want to make sure your own servants are decently leveled instead of relying on the NPC to carry you. What's even better is that you're able to clear the highest difficulty, the 40 AP quests, even with level 1 servants. There are a number of servants that can carry you, and this video will show off some of these servants, while giving you some gameplay tips and explanations. Before we get started, I just want to quickly explain how the dailies rotate. Every day there are 2 sets of dailies that switch out to different classes, Training Grounds and Ember Dailies. Training Grounds will switch to one of the 7 main classes for each of the days, like this image shows. Ember Dailies are a bit different in that a Knight class and a Cavalry class are paired and changed daily. So you'll get Lancer and Assassins for Mondays, Tuesdays it'll be Sabers and Riders, and then Wednesdays will give you Archers and Casters, and then it repeats. Berserkers are randomly available in every Ember Daily. Sunday is when all classes are mixed in. With that out of the way, let's start with the first carry. I'll also be using the default Mystico since that's what you start with, and though my MC is max level, you don't need to worry about needing higher skill levels with these carries. Jeanne, the classic carry, available since launch and the game's first ruler servant. She boasts pretty much the highest HP of all servants and takes only half damage from all the classes that will appear in Ember Dailies, except for Berserkers. Though her skills won't really help out much besides maybe her first skill, she does plenty with just her normal attacks. So how all carries will work in this video is very simple. Let your own servants die and let the support solo everything. The best way to do this is to have a level 1 St. George and Leonidas, as they have a taunt skill available right away. It's best if you use Leonidas' skill first since his only lasts 1 turn while St. George's lasts 3 turns. Having both on means enemies are randomly targeting between the two and could possibly waste Leonidas' taunt. However, I will not assume you have them, but they're useful if you do pull them from the friend point summons. You'll always want to start with a Buster card as that's going to give you the most amount of damage. How you choose from there will depend. For Jeanne, you'll pretty much always do Buster Arts. Always BAA. That's going to be the most damage she'll be able to manage. A good habit to get into is to put cards with higher crit rate in later positions. So if you have 2 arts cards, let's say one has 50% and the other is 80%, you want the 80% to be the last position since critting in later positions is more damage than earlier positions. Okay, so even without crits, this should be enough to kill a hand, and you really want to kill at least 1 enemy per turn. Generally, enemies have a specific amount of actions, up to a max of 3, depending on their rarity, type like insects, golems, knights, etc., and how many total are on screen. These hand type enemies you fight in EXP dailies are different though. No matter the rarity or the number of hands on the field, each hand will only attack once, and that's it. So if you can kill at least 1 hand per turn, that also means reducing the amount of attacks they can do to your support. Also, you pretty much always want to kill any Zerk hands first. In these dailies, Zerks are the only class that will deal effective damage to rulers, doing 1.5 times damage compared to half damage of the other classes. Zerks are, of course, easier to kill since they take 2 times damage, so do prioritize them if you see them. A good rule of thumb after that would be to prioritize the enemies that have the smallest charge bars. Archers and Assassins can charge their attacks the fastest because they only need 3 bars filled before they NP, so they'll fully charge in 3 turns and then they'll NP you on the 4th turn. They also have a higher crit rate than some other classes. Ideally, if you're killing 1 per turn, then you're never at risk of getting hit by an NP, but this is just to be safe. Also, because of how these hands attack, the evade skill on the MC is not only good for the obvious purpose of avoiding NPs, but also for avoiding attacks on the first turn of a new wave. Speaking of NP, let's talk about Jeanne's Noble Phantasm. Her NP is good, giving your entire team, or in this case only herself, 1 turn of invincibility, increased defense, and HP recovery. Unfortunately, at the time of this video, she does not have her upgraded NP, meaning she's stunned when she uses her NP. Her upgraded NP removes the stun, but the only way to currently avoid that is to use a seed that provides debuff immunity. So basically Vessel of the Saint. There's another seed that can do the same job, but it's pretty much just Vessel of the Saint. Best time to use this is honestly if you're about to be hit by an NP or something. But ideally, you wouldn't even use her NP in EXP dailies. That's pretty much it for Jeanne. It's pretty straightforward with her and really for all the carries in this video. A lot of the information in this section wasn't even really about her, but just general gameplay, mechanics, and tips. So let's move on to the next carry. So now we have this asshole who would drop you off a cliff if it meant he could get the Holy Grail, Amakusa Shirou. The second ruler to appear in the game, this guy is more oriented for offense than Jeanne. He sports a BBAAQ deck, so he has more combinations to kill a hand. He has a Buster NP that is AoE, his second skill charges an NP per turn, allowing him to easily get at least one NP off every run. If his third skill was upgraded, then he'd be able to increase his Buster card damage, which includes his NP for 3 turns. There's not much new to say, so the main thing here will be his NP. Since his NP is AoE, in an ideal situation, his NP kills all the enemies. But this depends on the NP level or buffs applied, and I guess whether or not his NP is upgraded. And even if you get just enough damage, because there's a random modifier of 0.9 to 1.1, this means there does exist a possibility that his NP will not kill all the hands. Also, while you're guaranteed to kill one hand when you NP, because this is a damaging NP we're talking about here, we really want to get at least 2 kills. Otherwise, it's no different from just using your regular cards. So here's my recommendation for when you NP. Use BNPB or BBNP. In case you don't know, while cards placed later do become stronger, this does not apply to NPs. The purpose of using one of these two orders is to weaken one hand, NP, and then the remaining attacks kill another hand if there's still one alive. With this, you're guaranteed to kill at least 2 hands. Also, since Zergs take 2 times the damage and is pretty much guaranteed dead, the hand you should weaken should be one of the other 6 classes. And now we get to Punchy Saint, Kono Marutada! The ruler version specifically. If it's not obvious enough, you can go with literally any ruler to carry you through this, including this little chat. Ruler Martha boasts a triple B deck, which is absolutely overkill on hands for the most part. As such, it's mostly unnecessary to use BBB unless your luck is absolutely terrible, I guess. Feel free to use something like BAB, BBA, BQB, or BBQ. She has a single target NP, an NP charge on her first skill, and her second skill recovers her HP and gives debuff immunity, though nothing can debuff her here. Same thing as the previous run, so again, not much new to say besides her NP. With a single target NP, you should be guaranteed to kill 2 hands. But here's a question for you. Can a servant with a single target NP kill 3 enemies? The answer is yes, and it follows what I outlined in Amakusa's section. Sometimes you can kill all 3 enemies on the field if the servant is strong enough by killing the first enemy with 2 regular cards, using the NP to kill the second, and then having the extra attack kill the last enemy. A variation to this would be to kill the first enemy with only 1 regular card, which would give you an extra card to use on the last enemy. This works because NPs aren't treated as normal cards, so going into and out of an NP when an enemy is dead forces your servant to switch to another target. This works especially well with servants who can do Buster Chains, because not only do you get the first card Buster bonus to make your later cards stronger, but having a Buster Chain gives you two things. 20% of the servant's attack added as flat damage to your cards, and your EX attack gets a 3.5 times bonus. Note that the 3.5 times bonus also applies for Arts Brave Chains and Quick Brave Chains. Just make sure you can actually kill the first enemy with regular cards. Introducing Edmond Dantès. We're branching away from rulers now, so we no longer have the half damage advantage anymore. Because of this, while you can still do things fine without taunters, which is what will be shown in the video, it's more recommended to use St. George and Leonidas now. Otherwise, you're at risk of more damage due to not being able to kill every turn because a random level 1 servant refuses to die. So Dantès is here just because I've actually used him while I was helping out my sister with her account. He boasts a high attack stat, an AoE NP, and his skills are all pretty useful for battle. The main attraction is his first skill, which gives him 30 to 50% attack up. This coupled with the default Mystic Code's attack buff means that even at NP1, he's guaranteed to wipe out the wave of hands. Other than that, because of his high attack stat, you should be guaranteed to kill using any combination so long as you start with Buster. Jeanne Dark Alter is one you're practically guaranteed to see, and it's very likely you'll see her Grail to 100. However, my video is only going to show her at level 90. Appropriately enough, by being the opposite of Jeanne, Jalter boasts the highest attack stat in the game. At max, her second skill gives herself 20% attack up, and her third skill gives her 50% buster up. Her third skill also gives her 1-turn invincibility, but at the cost of 1000 HP. I recommend using this skill on the last wave, and using your Mystic Code's evade skill on the second wave. Just like with Dantès, you're guaranteed 1 kill using any combination starting with a buster, so you can try to go for more stars or NP. And just as I noted in Mark the Ruler's section, you can also kill 3 enemies on the turn you use her NP. She'll have a much easier time due to having higher attack and more buffs. The final servant I'll show in this video is Kuchulen Alter. He has a high attack, and because he's a berserker, he'll do effective damage to all. This means that the 3 enemy single target NP kill is even easier with him. Let's go into his skills. His first skill reduces the enemy's attack and crit rate, which really helps him out due to him taking 2 times damage. Best time to use this is likely at the start of the second wave. His second skill is great, and a good time for me to explain the two types of evasion and invent skills. These two types are turn-based and attack-based. Turn-based is very simple. It's just evasion or invent for one turn, and then it's done. Attack-based allows servants to avoid or invent attacks, but if no one attacks them, the skill carries over into the next turn. Also keep in mind of what I'm saying. It's attack-based, not hit-based. As you've seen with your own servants, each of their cards have a certain amount of hits, but those hits are tied to only one card, therefore one attack. So don't worry about enemies that seem to have a lot of hits because they only count for one attack. This is what makes Jalter a good frontline Zerk. In a team, it's entirely possible for him to not get hit for several turns, allowing him to still avoid enemy attacks later on, and probably even use a skill again right after his evasion is gone. For skills like these, it's often best to activate them as soon as possible. Finally, his third skill is Guts that lasts for 5 turns, and if he dies in any of those 5 turns, he revives. When a servant is alone and Guts activates, the enemy's turn immediately ends, giving you another turn to do damage. This is how some solos are doable because of this mechanic. By the way, remember how I said you should focus on Berserker hands? That applied to all the previous servants I said, but is not true at all if you're using Jalter. For him, you want to focus on the regular class hands instead, because the Berserker hands are only going to do 1.5 times damage to him instead of the 2 times damage from the other classes. That's pretty much about it for this video. At this point, you might be able to tell that there's a lot more servants that can work than just these 6. So long as you have class advantage against one of the hands, you're honestly good to use any strong servant. However, my recommendation is to use any of the rulers. Due to how tanky they are, you have much more room for error. Hope you learned from this video. Thanks for watching, have fun, and make a bind code.